Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the things we know. So, as of this recording, Carrie and I are both 57. I just turned 57 yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And lately, we have been talking about how thoroughly exhausted we are about the amount of attention women are expected to devote to their bodies. Our bodies are discussed when they change and when they don't, when they grow, shrink, age, become stronger, become softer, are visible or become less visible. And even when no one else is talking about our bodies, many of us are maintaining a nearly constant internal conversation about them. And that would be me. Like, nobody else may be talking about my body, but my head is talking about it all the fucking time.
I know, man. And so today we want to ask, how much longer are we going to be talking about our fucking bodies?
Are we there yet?
I don't know. And we really don't mean we should ignore them before we hit record. We're talking about things we need to like stay on top of. I mean, you've heard me if you listen that I have osteoporosis. Lisa's had hip work, we definitely are trying, doing our best to take care of ourselves. So we don't mean ignore them. We want to feel good. We want to be strong and healthy and rested and able to participate fully in our lives. And we even enjoy skincare, clothes, beauty, and feeling attractive, right? Like there's things that we also, that kind of help us feel even more in our bodies when we're in sync with it, right? So, how do we pay attention to our bodies without becoming distracted by them? How do we care for ourselves without making our bodies lifelong renovation projects?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and before we get into it, we're going to take a moment to ask you to follow the things we know wherever you listen. And if you're appreciating these conversations that we're having, like this episode, comment. It helps more women find the show.
Hmm. Okay. And I just want to own right now, and I'm just going to give you permission to like bring me back to Target because there is, and I think it's probably by design in the world that gets all of our attention. There's a lot of tendency when we're talking about this to like creep into diet culture or even creep into
Mm,
feminism and why women are like, why do we have to be smaller in all kinds of ways? Right.
right,
And
right, right.
I think what we really want to talk about is something we are talking about anyway, you and I. It's like, there's the we are of a generation, and I know every generation has their own version of it. Our kids have Instagram, we had 17 magazine or whatever, but everybody, definitely our generation, it feels very common that we grew up with our parents and the people we were learning from and respected, and everywhere all the images we were talking about people's bodies favorably and unfavorably very openly.
Hmm.
So but I hate that. So what I was saying to you the other day is like we have a meta self-critic, right? It's not just that I have an automatic like, oh, my arms look kind of doughy in that photo. I also have an instantly like, why the fuck do you care? Like, why are you
I
noticing that?
know.
It's like
Yep.
this mean, exasperated, just totally done dialogue with myself that I'm like irritated that I even care.
I
And I don't, and
I
I don't
could
every
not agree
time.
more.
I don't every time. Sometimes I don't. And then when I do, I'm instantly mean to myself. Like, you should be so past that. Who cares?
I mean, again, it cracks me up because I do feel like this goes back to what we keep laughing about when we started, how cocky we were when we started. I know we keep saying this, but it's just because I think back then, and I don't know what it was. I don't know, if you and I we were Darren would argue that part of why I guess he can't speak for you, but I wonder if this lands for you. We've talked about this before. Darren would argue, we were both working at the time. So my days were full in a way that they're not as full right now. And we were on stages, and it was just kind of a really exciting time. We were out of the pandemic. It was like things felt a little renewed. And Darren was like, you were about as happy as I remember seeing you back then.
Ah,
And so that happiness, I think, when you're the way we do one thing's the way we do everything, right? So if I was feeling particularly in a good groove back then, not only with my work with HCI, you and I's budding friendship, this was before the pod. My transformation for real was going really well. And so the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So I think I was happy, and so everything just I just felt great, And
Oh, there's
now we're in this space where like I don't know. I mean, again, the world's so heavy, blah, 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 all the things we keep talking about. And it just feels like I can't grab onto any happiness. And so then I feel like I'm falling back into old patterns. And to your
mm,
point, you're exactly right. Part of my brain like goes, oh, I wish I looked different. And then the other part of my brain goes, bitch, what? You are 57. Like, get your husband loves you. Your kids think you're great. Like, what the fuck does it matter? And that's
hmm,
the point. That's why sometimes I don't, and I'm glad we don't really want to veer into the patriarchy piece of this because this feels like a me issue.
hmm.
Yes, it's come down from all of our years of conditioning. So I understand that, but this is a me issue. That makes
Right.
sense?
And we have covered patriarchy and we have covered diet culture.
Right.
So if you're like, oh, I wanted that, we'll put
We've
those, I'll
got
put
them.
those in the show notes.
Yeah.
We talk about this stuff all the time. It's interesting you say that because, you know, factually, I weighed a lot more when we first started that. So that's funny.
Mm,
But although, as you know, like part of what I struggle with right now is that I have lost muscle and I have osteoporosis. So it's like, I think for me, it's about like strength and muscle more than anything right now. But
yeah.
so I mean, that's just interesting to think about that. Like it really isn't a for me about and also like I may have said this on air before. I'm not sure if I have, but I definitely said it to you, which is I have friends in my life. I have a spouse. I have at least one kid who at some point, and it's crazy to even imagine because I knew them at these times. I didn't know Brendan when he was little, but like whether or not they got messages as kids that they were a little chubby. And
Mm,
that little kid is in their adulthood. And
yeah.
so like Brendan's, he wouldn't mind me sharing this. Yeah, I'm certain. So, but like his response to like any sort of messages like that when he's feeling like he like has some extra weight and is way feels way harder than mine is. Mine is has always
Mm,
been because I didn't really put on weight until my 20s,
mm-hmm.
late 20s too. And I was, married and like so there'd be times where I'd be like, oh, I don't like the way this is fitting. Well,
Right.
I can do something. It's information. I can do something about it, right?
Right.
So I always felt like I was not going to suffer that way. So it is weird. It's the aging piece of this where I'm really hearing it. Now, it was always there and there were some things I could take for granted and there was things I was really hard on myself for and I didn't like my body. So when it comes to weight, I thought I was in the clear around that and in terms of like I don't like it but I can change it.
Right.
And versus like feeling, really critiqued, which is how they yeah, very self-conscious, which is how they described it. Anyway,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so that is just something that I'm realizing like, oh, I don't even know if I thought was true. I think I was kind of lying to myself and was still very critical about certain things. And, like it's the dialogue. So it's like I
Yeah.
do need to pay attention to my body in ways that I may not have when I was younger because I could take certain things for granted. Like I told you today, I pulled something. Like it wasn't
Right.
even like I was moving some of our camping gear because the boys just went off to a music festival and we got out everything and I was like, I'm just gonna move this stuff out of the way, the stuff they didn't take. And I was like,
Yep.
so I really care about my strength, my bones, my energy, my mobility. I have an adult son who's taller than me who, I need to be able to catch without tweaking my body, right? So
Yeah.
I care about longevity and ignoring my body isn't freedom or self-acceptance. And I struggle all the time with my consistency with exercise. It's like, if you know you need it because you have osteoporosis, why aren't you doing it all the time? But listening to my body is very different than judging it. So, a change can require my attention without becoming evidence that I've failed, right? And
Yeah.
I want to care for it because I live here and not work on it because it's failing an inspection, right? So like that's the thing is I'm constantly criticizing that I didn't exercise, or I'm criticizing that I feel weak, or I'm criticizing that I look kind of dumpy in a photo, or like, and it's not something I realized till you and I started talking about it, and I was like, God, it's really there. And why does it come back? And I don't know. I don't have more time. I feel like I never have time to myself. So I don't know why it is happening, except for, you know, maybe it is the information that I got about osteoporosis that I don't know. I'm not sure
Hmm,
what it is, but I'm constantly
interesting.
like, looking at my posture in a photo, and I don't know. I'm not sure. But I'm
You know
I'm
what?
not very nice to myself about it.
That's an interesting piece though, because Charlotte and I, Charlotte enlightened me, and I am not going to know the term, but basically, she learned in her uh, sociology class last semester this idea around when something is named. So, for instance, she was diagnosed with anorexia. So now all of a sudden, back then, she identified as an anorexic. Well, if she's an anorexic, then she's going to be the best anorexic she can be, which means she's going to get littler and littler and littler. So it's that idea of when you get a diagnosis, or somebody name something, you lean into it instead of just accepting it as a diagnosis.
I'm
So
going to be a
like,
frail little lady like my grandma.
well, that's just it, right? I mean, that's what I'm hearing is you're saying it's almost like
Yeah.
you have it, and so now it's become really prominent in your brain,
Yeah.
instead of
Instead of
it being
like
in a
under,
diagnosis.
yes. Yeah, it's true.
You're
It's a
like
really good point.
you are identifying as it versus just I have it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what to do about it?
Right,
And I
right,
am
right.
doing some things about it. I'm not like not doing anything, but you're right. You're right. I am feeling like I'm spending too much time thinking like, oh my God, am I going to shrink like my grandma did? And
Right. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah, so I mean,
interesting.
I
And
do I
I do like I getting older beats the alternative. I love getting older. That has never changed.
yes.
I still think that like I still believe that my wisdom and my years make me more attractive and more interesting than ever. I do believe that.
Yeah.
I don't always feel attractive, but I do believe that.
Well, that's just it, right? Like it's this strange combination of clarity, but also feeling really vulnerable, right? Like
Right.
we may care less about certain opinions, but our bodies are changing in ways that we cannot entirely control. I feel like some of my changes in the last year are tied. I thought they were tied to stress, but I'm not feeling as stressed anymore. Charlotte's doing better and so forth. And so now I'm like, oh, is this menopause, right? And so I can't control that. I'm not eating anymore or eating any less or drinking anymore. Actually am drinking less. So it's like these things that I'm like, I'm doing all the quote unquote right things to feel better in my body and it's not working. And so it's just this I'm feeling that's like an invitation to decide whether every change deserves criticism or whether some changes can simply just be like, okay, you're 57. This is life.
Okay, so you just turned 57. So
Yep.
what do you genuinely want to care for most in your body? Like what are you no longer willing to criticize and what do you like want to be really loving about?
Um, we were talking about this before we get on. Like right now, I have some pain in my feet, and there are days where I'm in as much pain now as I was before I got my hip replaced, but it's all in my feet, and I do think it's tied to menopause. So I'm doing some investigating with my doctor, like what I can do to change that. Um, what I want to, willing and want are two totally different things. What I want to no longer criticize is adding a couple lbs. I want to just be like, you're eating the same way you've always eaten. You still work out every single day. You're doing all the things you've always done. You're doing all the same damn things you were doing 5 years ago. This is life. This might be menopause. This might be something I just can't do anything about technically, or, I don't know what I could change necessarily. And so ride that wave. That's what I want to do. But
Yeah.
it's really something that, quite frankly, I've decided to put my attention to letting it go and not criticizing really with my birthday. It happened to
Yeah.
be a big astrology day. If you follow me on Facebook, you know how much I was talking about this. And so I thought, well, if it's a full moon and a full moon where you're supposed to let go of stuff, and the sun and Jupiter connected, which is supposed to be about abundance. So calling something in, I'm like, I want to let go of these stupid images, this body image crap that is resurfaced in my head. I, to your point, I thought I was so done with this. Thought I was so done.
Mm.
So what about you?
Um, I like on the therapist couch. I so badly want to have energy again. And there's a lot of reasons why I don't. So I think what I'm learning is just that self-critic that goes on fire when I don't feel like I've been productive enough, or when I don't, you know, feel like I don't know, that's not helping. That's bringing down the energy. So I
Mm,
think what I, feel like even though I'm way more into embodied work, I love somatic work with a therapist. I like doing somatic work as a coach. I do think it starts in your brain when you are still laying in bed and you haven't moved your body yet, which is like, what is like, if you can be really intentional about where your attention goes when you first wake up.
mm,
If I look at my phone, it leaves my body, right? So
yeah.
like if I can stay there and like start wiggling my toes and doing something like that, then I feel really like kind and like engaged. And then I'll get up, and even if all I have time to do is something like stretch, or go to the mat where the dogs will join me and like just do a little bit of yoga. If that's all I have time to do and I don't have time to get into like weights that day, I'm really just trying to celebrate that. So it sounds kind of silly, but that's how bad it got for me because I was so sleep deprived. So if
Yeah.
I can just like make sure that I do those things before I engage with any screens or start taking care of any other beings, um, that's huge for me. That's the best way to take care of my body, is to stay in it.
Mm. So have the things you criticize just sort of changed?
Mm, I've always, I remember saying to a coach, like, may have been a therapist. Sorry, I've worked with both. Um, like I just thought everybody's self-critic said those things, and they were like, "Yours
Mm.
is particularly harsh," which is, you still haven't finished that, or you haven't done. Like I literally
Yeah, yeah,
walk around
yeah.
with that kind of stuff, and that hasn't changed. But maybe the thing I'm pointing to has, right? So, um, a lot of my struggle where I'm feeling, tension in my body, it's just holding those feelings and beliefs about myself that I'm not sticking with something or I'm not being consistent about something. So
Got
that's
it.
kind of it. So
Okay.
if
So it's
I
the same
if
story. It's
I
just a different attention.
right, so like
Got
if
it.
I look at a photo and I'm like, oh, like I mentioned my arms, that's something like, but in the whole scheme of my life, like the whole span of my life, it feels now like maybe for 10 minutes I had really ripped arms, but I
Right.
feel like I achieved that and was going to stay there, but you don't stay there if you don't keep doing it.
Exactly. Yep.
And so if I notice in a photo like, oh, like something not so nice, like those are kind of beefy arms, what is happening is I'm not so much staying focused on the arm. I'm staying focused on like, you could do something about that and you're not.
Ah, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and
It's
see,
it's
mine's just
it's
the opposite.
yeah.
That's
You're
so
doing stuff
fascinating.
about it.
I'm
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
stuff and nothing's changing. And so
yeah.
that's pissed. So then I'm like, I vacillate back and forth between like, am I not doing enough? Should I be switching things up? Um, and or is this is just where I'm gonna be for, and can I just
Right.
accept that, And then of course you're on, we've both joked about like you just have to think about something that ends up in your algorithm, or I hesitate over an ad and then I get 50 more
Oh
different
yeah.
versions of that ad, and so then that just almost makes it worse.
Thanks for saying that, because like the other thing that like that I get a million, I always say, is neck cream, because I'm always like, I literally have sat around with my friends feeling like, and it's not like I like like it's not like I never feel beautiful. That's not it. It's but
Right.
I will be in a group, and the two. I'm very blessed with wonderful people in my life, and maybe like the two groups of people I see the most. I am the oldest.
Mm,
That's true, but not by much, right?
right.
But I have tell you, I've literally registered the thought. I don't do a ton of this out loud because I really just I don't want to be part of that. I don't love hearing my mom put herself down in a photo. I don't, so I don't do that this aloud, but I have this inner dialogue where I'm like, nobody's neck looks like mine. My neck is really going. And then I immediately like, but hey, like you're, it beats the alternative. And
Right,
I have
right.
nothing against people who invest in work. I just constantly am like, I'd rather go on vacation,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
without money. But um, I I definitely notice it, and then I criticize myself for noticing.
Right. Yeah. So it's a spiral downwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I
yes,
mean,
and so yes, I have hovered on those neck cream things, and then it's like my whole algorithm is like fuck the patriarchy and neck cream. I don't know. Doesn't
yeah,
make any sense.
mine is like how to fix a bunion without surgery. And yeah, it's just so stupid. And that's the thing, right? Like our bodies do need attention. They just don't need constant evaluation.
They need care and like communion, right? Like you need to
Yeah.
be with your body and like really enjoy and be grateful for it, right? And like I know that sounds so I'm not that woo at all. I appreciate a lot of it, but there is like to actually be mindful of how you're breathing is so
Mm,
kind to your body. And then like reducing the stress reduces the inflammation that sometimes causes some of the things that we're like unhappy about, like
right.
puffiness or lines or things like that. So there really is something to that. Like if you're not, speaking kinder to, we always say as coaches, whatever you're focusing on is going to be like your reality. So
Yeah.
it's like, I'd much, much, much rather focus on the things that light me up or the things that I'm really, really, on fire about than be focused on my face or my neck or my arms.
I mean, but the thing is, most of us do have this internal body narrator, right? It speaks to
Right.
us when we look in the mirror, when we get dressed, when we see ourselves in a photograph, walk into a room, appear on video. And it can comment so quickly that we do not consciously choose that thought, right? Like it's on an automatic loop. And when a voice has been with us for decades, like mine has, it can feel like truth. But a thought can be automatic without it being factual, accurate,
Right.
or even authoritative.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, like, this is what it's always good. Like, coaches need coaches; they need to listen to
Yeah.
themselves too. The narrator doesn't only tell us what we look like; it can move us outside ourselves.
Mm,
And you can be at dinner, swimming, dancing, recording a podcast. Yesterday, I was on a boat. Like you could be having sex, you could be taking a photo while simultaneously watching ourselves have the experience. Like you can that takes and I do notice that with the other generation. Like, are you really experiencing this? Or are you wondering how this is going to look?
mm,
But also, like Miles was telling me recently, like there's so many experiences that are altered when you realize you might be being filmed. There's
mm.
just a lot of phones out without people's permission, right? So people
Sure.
aren't as free. I mean, this came up because we were telling funny stories of people we knew in college who would just streak or get naked, and they're like, "We don't see that a lot, but you guys didn't have cell phones out." And I was like, "Oh,
Right.
that's so true."
Noted.
Like, so we're physically in the room, but part of our attention is standing across the room looking at us, and I think
Yeah.
that is something to really be aware of, because like when you think about it, like when I think about dancing, I'm so free. I'm not even thinking about anything else than just like the music and like being with people I enjoy. So I think this whole, like I think psychologists call it self objectification, which is experiencing ourselves primarily as bodies being observed
Hmm.
rather than as people just living from within our own bodies. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that just reminds me of being a little kid. Like that's just so joyful.
Yeah.
And that is another reason why when I get into an exercise kick, I really love it because I love being in a body and I love that feeling. You know that feeling when you start like a exercise routine you hadn't been doing for a while and it
Yeah.
hasn't changed anything yet, but you feel different.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and I think research has connected habitual body surveillance with body shame and appearance anxiety and diminished well-being. So if that is naming a little bit of like what's got a hold of us because we're just responding to this world, of like objectifying ourselves, it makes
Yeah.
sense, and we
Hmm.
can we can forgive it, right? And we can acknowledge it, and we're also smart enough to like redirect it. Is kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So for you, I mean, you've kind of already, you might have already mentioned this to some extent when you were talking about the osteoporosis, but like when your body narrator is the loudest, what's it habitually looking at or for?
This is going to sound boring, but really lately it's posture. It's constant posture.
Yeah.
Cause I feel like you can be at any size or stage of whatever, and posture is just, it doesn't just exude confidence. It internalizes confidence. So
Yeah.
I'm constantly looking at that and thinking about it. What
Yeah,
about
that
you?
me too. I would say I'm paying attention to trying to stand up straighter. Like, I don't want to get that like hump, but and so I've been really being trying to be conscious. Again, now I've hovered over enough things on Instagram, all the different ways you can stretch your neck and that you get
Right.
the hump because of the neck. And so I've been really trying to refocus on neck exercises and things like that. And then it just goes to the standard like, you know, torso area as well, so it's a combination of new things like posture because of being a certain age and the oldies and the goodies from probably my entire life, because I probably, I was in some level similar to like Brendan and some of your friends. Like I had that I had somebody at some point told me I was chubby, or I don't even know if they use the word fat, but like that little girl is still in there for sure.
I mean, I didn't, but definitely somebody like said something about my butt in seventh or eighth grade. And so I was always really aware about having like a bigger butt, and which is funny because like that came to be something that wasn't a bad thing to have. But like,
Right.
I lived in the years where you were literally thinking tying a sweatshirt around your waist would hide that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I
funny.
remember.
But yeah, and it just reminds me, and I think I've told you this Alicia, who's done my hair, been, she's more than a, hairstylist. She's like a friend of the family, but she and I have very different body types, and we always laugh at how we admire these like specific things that the other has that we don't have, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I've always been, and it's never been like, oh, I wish I had it. I just always love it. Like, I was just like, God, you got like strongest legs. I love your legs. You know what I mean? And she'll be like,
Yeah.
you have a waist, and we're just, it's just funny. Like, it's
Yeah.
so silly, and so to at least direct it into like how like reminding each other when like there's certain beautiful things about you physically, but you're a beautiful person is really kind of where we've come to with it. Because we're both, we have just different types of bodies that we're both living in. And I think, oh, it's so silly. I mean, it is, because also the comedy, like what I want to get at, and I think we do somewhere here, so maybe I'm skipping ahead, but is, can we just fucking stop talking about it? Because
Well, yeah.
I
We talked about
think,
this the other day, you and I and Melissa when we were in our house. Like, what if we had never ever told anybody anything about the way they look? Like, how much? Because when the question is, and this is what we would ask our clients, right? Whose voice is that in your head saying this? It is my voice, but it's an accumulation of all the things I've heard throughout my entire life,
yeah,
good, bad, and ugly. And I wish I could go back in time. I wish it was just a thing where nobody talked about what anybody looks like.
I have coached somebody. Well, I coach somebody who, I mean, it's not just her. I've heard this many times, but her story's coming to mind right now, which is she grew up with a bunch of sisters, and all she ever heard was people giving physical compliments to her sisters, not to her.
Mm,
Nobody gave
mm,
her any criticisms. But how do you think that made her feel?
right.
Not like invisible, or like not as special, not as worthy. Like it was just it. What I think is people are like, but I only say positive things. It's like, if
Right.
you're always focused on that razor jawline that someone has, or you're always focused on how ripped that guy is, like other people hear it and they hear you
Yeah.
not looking at them.
Right.
So
Totally.
maybe if we could just really back off the specific body comments, which are really creepy, and not make people feel undressed, and just say, "Oh, it's so good to see you. You look fabulous." Like,
Right.
what is wrong with that? What is wrong? Like, oh, you're glowing, and how are you feeling? Because it's just your energy is great, right? Like,
Yeah.
if we could redirect that so that kids aren't hoping someone gives them a physical compliment,
Right.
because then adults still live with that because those little kids still in there. So
Yeah,
it isn't just that someone told someone they were chubby. Someone also just was next to someone who was getting a million compliments.
totally. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Have you ever had a photograph that you hated at the time, but now you think, God damn, why was I even worried about that?
I mean, I'm really familiar with the. It's so funny how like something you were trying to change, you look back at now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I can't attach it to a specific photograph, but I definitely will look at photos of myself in well, we've talked about this, but college or high school, and say, why was I wearing like an XXL sweatshirt over all
Right.
that? Like
Totally.
I mean, that gets into some of my fears around being sexualized, but um, it's funny to me. I really admire the way women and girls of all sizes dress like so openly with like guts of different sizes visible, and I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I really operated under the what you should and shouldn't wear, and even though
Yeah.
I don't know why, I look back at that and I was like, why was I covering all that up? I'm
Yeah.
not saying, oh, I should have been strutting, but it's like it's too bad that I wasn't as comfortable in that body when it started to develop. So there's that. And then
Yeah.
yes, I'm sure if I look back at like early like family photos when the kids were little,
Mm,
I think probably at the time I felt dumpy, and I look back now and I'm like, you weren't dumpy. You were a little
yeah.
tired, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we've all had that experience, right? You think you look one way and then you see a picture and you're like, "Oh, wait, it wasn't. What was I thinking?" And I think that's the thing, right? So that experience in and of itself reveals something really important, which is that original judgment that felt completely true at the time wasn't. And we're not seeing ourselves objectively. We're seeing ourselves through the standards and fears that we're carrying at that moment. And again, I
Yeah.
think that's what's pissing me off about what I'm doing to myself right now is it's like, again, I know better.
Yes. I know.
And I don't know why it's resurfaced. I don't know. So annoying.
It is a weird thing when the old things that we have completely moved beyond.
Yep.
Because like noticing your body's natural. And it's just putting it on trial is learned. And we
Mm,
know we have learned that. And I think it's obvious by now that our bigger frustration isn't with our changing bodies. We're happy to be here. We're happy to be in older bodies. That's fine. It's the old messages. I
hmm.
think there's like so that's the inner dialogue, right? And
Right.
then again, getting to this place where we talk about another's bodies. We've been taught that a woman's appearance is ordinary public conversation. They like
Yep.
watch any awards show,
Hmm.
they're talking about what she's wearing. There's great what's her name who I met her. Amy's friends with her. She's written a couple books. She's really funny.
Oh,
Oh,
Christina.
Christina. Yeah. Kuzmik.
Yeah.
She did an amazing video reel like where she got some child actors, and they're you know like she was totally wondering why her daughter got in trouble for saying something mean about a girl's body, and then they flash back to them watching an award show, and she's criticizing the way everyone looks. Oh, she got worked. Oh, look at her hips. It's just like, why is that so normal? We greet women with appearance reports. Like,
Yeah.
you look great. Have you lost weight?
Yeah.
Oh, look at your we discuss who has changed. We reassure each other about perceived flaws. We use mutual body criticism as a form of bonding, right? Oh no, I
That
hate my thighs.
one right
There's a
there.
lot of that in Sex in the City, right?
Yes.
So even positive comments can reinforce the idea that everyone's watching, which goes back to what I just said. Comment may be lovingly intended, but it can still tell a woman that her body has been noticed. And that's not always comfortable. Measured and interpreted and all that stuff, like it's not always comfortable. I don't really like that I don't like observing that when someone like starts thinking it's a compliment and they're like, everyone's talking to her. And how much and what have you done? And are you
Yeah.
on GLP-1s? Like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I get
Yep.
why, but I just I wish we could just be like, spending our time on the things that really matter more to us.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, the sort of killer, right? One woman says something cruel about herself, and then the woman she's talking to responds by criticizing her own body, and then, oh, but that's not, you're not so bad. Look at mine. and you know, when you're having that conversation, we think we're making each other feel better, but the bottom line is we're still centering the body in the conversation, and we're still debating whether it passes inspection or not. If it's good or is it bad? Does it need work on? And it's yeah,
Mm.
I
Why do you
don't
think that? Why do you think
fuck
like
me.
that became it's as it's as ubiquitous as you can't compliment a woman's dress without her saying, I got it on sale. It has
Totally,
pockets.
totally.
I'm like, why is that? Why did it become such a
I wish it was as
I
lighthearted as how cheap a dress is. I don't know. Again, I think you nailed it. It's like there's a bonding aspect of it, right? Misery loves company. Um, I don't. There could be a fishing expedition, right? Like if I say, "Oh, I don't like my blah blah blah," and you say, "Oh, but yours is great," then all of a sudden, maybe for a hot second, I feel better. I don't know. I think. I mean, it's a tale as old as time. This episode's not going to fix it.
we don't do this to fix things.
I know, but I was really hoping it would.
Oh, I think it will because the more you're conscious of it,
True.
the I think I don't know. And also you're the least of anyone I know who's going to declare something on her birthday and then not like make a concerted effort to stick to it. So,
That's true.
but the episode wasn't going to do it. You're done. You're sick of it. You're going to move
Yeah.
forward. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. 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 I just got to figure out how to I need to figure out what is going to work for me to do that. Because you're right. I am sick of it. I've been talking about it all week with you in different way, shape, or form. I did declare it yesterday. And and so I should be giving myself a little break because that was literally less than 24 hours ago that I made that declaration. But yeah,
It
I'll
was
be
more
able.
than 24 hours ago. It was like 6 a.m. yesterday. So
What? Okay. But the point being,
good
yes, I
job.
need, yeah, I'm what, 36 hours in. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think but it's important to me to reconnect with happiness in general and recognizing that um, it'll all pan out. It'll all come out in the wash, so to speak, you know?
I mean, you're Leo, you're a manifester, you're a natural leader, you're really well spoken. When I think about Darren's comment, it makes sense to me about you because when you are using those gifts and you're in front of a lot of people, and you are, but you can't see the people listening, right?
Right, right, right.
And you can't see all the people who wished you a happy birthday yesterday, and you can't see all the people that comment and stuff. But when you're physically around and in front of a lot of people, that does feed you. It
Yeah.
feeds you. It really gives you the most accurate reflection of your physical and inner beauty. So
Hmm.
that makes a lot of sense to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Mine is just a tale as old as time for me. As you know, the time of my life is the constant metacritic. So, and it shows up in every little darn thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I probably had it then. I
Yeah.
just I just have like the actual diagnosis of osteoporosis now, and
Right.
and I've since then been through a lot of stress that has aged me. So, like when I think about this idea that like a compliment can make you self-conscious, right? Like I really just wish I could wave a magic wand and have people not talk about people's bodies, and I know men that feel that way too.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and it's the most natural thing in certain friend groups. I notice that they still love to be like, you look so skinny, like it's
Hmm.
just, I've
Hmm.
noticed that, or you look so muscular. And I think, oh, what I've noticed is when people talk about how tall I am, that only happens when I know I've lost weight. Like, because I just don't think it's as obvious, right? Like, if my weight
Oh,
pulls this
that's
way, you're not going to
interesting.
notice. But my height hasn't changed. In fact, I've gotten shorter because of osteoporosis, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So it's funny that a very innocuous comment on "you're so tall" will make me go, "Why are they saying that?" I haven't done that in a
Interesting.
really long time, but I remember noting that because definitely, especially in the aftermath of a lot of really hard stuff we've been through with Griffin, it's never really been that I eat more. In fact, I have problem eating enough. It's often been the lack of sleep and the stress that puts like tons of weight on for me, as we know, like when things we're stressed about in the world.
Right.
Um, so it's not something that like I'm super conscious of struggling with, but I am aware of it. I am aware of it. So then I'm like, why did I say that? And then it's funny, I haven't noticed that for a long time, and people have said I'm tall. So maybe I'm over that particular thing. But it's just one of those things where it's like a compliment should just be a compliment, but then and maybe it's because I've coached enough people too that they like, I just wish people would stop looking at me like physically and just, get to know me more than that. So I think it's an interesting dilemma because we're always going to be visual people, and
Yeah.
people are always going to be drawn to colors, to shapes, to things they find attractive, and it's subjective, and it does do a number on people. So I guess it's
Yeah.
just the invitation to really get okay with yourself.
Yeah. And again, going back to, I think again, it's really important that when somebody we love says something self-deprecating about their looks or their body, that we don't have to join in, right? We don't have to
Yes.
criticize ourselves or debate whether their criticism is accurate. We can respond, to the person versus grading the body, right? Um, like I'm not going to join you in being cruel to somebody I love. Like you would never say that to your best friend, that sort of thing. Just letting. I don't know. It's a tough one, but at the same time, I think the main thing is not trying to grab the attention and by then criticize, because it's again it's a spiral downwards for everyone involved, one upping each
For
other on
sure.
who they hate, what they hate worse about their bodies.
Yeah, I would say too that like it comes back to everything that you and I said. Like we're smart. We care a lot about a lot of stuff. It's where we want to spend our time and attention.
Yeah.
I think, like I watched three generations of women when we were celebrating my mom's birthday and thinking about that, like my beautiful 85-year-old, incredibly brilliant mom. I don't like when she does that. She doesn't do it all the time. And honestly, she didn't raise me with messages like that at all. I didn't hear it at all growing up. I'm really impressed with her when I look back. She probably like didn't have a ton to worry about. Like she was, she wasn't super tiny and she wasn't big. She was pretty active and curvy, and like I don't know. I don't even remember that being. I mean, when I remember, how my dad was like very complimentary of people who took care of themselves or were in good shape, I realized like she probably was too,
Yeah.
but she never said that shit in front of us, and I did not get those messages from her at all. Um, so I'm proud of that, but I don't like what I see now when she sees a photo of herself and she's in front of her granddaughters and she'll say like something mean about herself. And I love how my nieces respond to it. They're like, Nana, you're beautiful, and I love that. I love that
Yeah.
they don't take that, or I hope they don't take that on. I'm sure they got their own shit. But yeah, I think if we could just disrupt that, and also no, I mean, I have only men here and I know they go through similar stuff. We could just
Yeah.
disrupt that. Oh, the books we could read and the things we could accomplish.
I mean, that's it, right? Like attention is one of our most valuable resources. And so when we are constantly scanning our bodies, comparing them, reviewing our appearance, we're teaching our brains that that's what's critically important. And the cost is not just how this criticism makes us feel, it's what we're not paying attention to while we're paying attention to how we look.
Yeah. And I just love embodied work. Like I love all somatic work and how much wisdom our body's waiting for us to notice. I've
Mm,
always loved that. A lot of the things we learned in TCM, and transformational coaching is where you're like whatever emotion you're talking about, where it lives in your body and what it really, really wants you to know. Why is it like, what is this, pain in your side? If it could talk, what would it say? What is it
right.
like? What does it want your attention around? I think that's fascinating. It's a pain in the ass when you're the person, like when I go do that work as the client. I'm really grateful to my clients that let me take them through exercises like that, because it sucks sometimes. Like I don't know, it just hurts.
Yeah,
breath,
totally.
like, like if you can give it some more attention, what do you think? And there's just such beautiful love always involved here. And and it's there, or there's fear, or there's anger, there's some emotion that's really trying to help you work through something. So I love being present in a body that you don't criticize, so it feels safe to communicate with you, right?
Yeah.
And I know that sounds woo. And I do want to acknowledge, like, we're not inventing this conversation. Sonia Renee Taylor has an incredible book, The Body is Not an Apology, and it challenges the learned shame and larger systems that teach people to rank, control, and apologize for bodies.
Mm.
Her work goes well beyond individual self esteem. It asks us to understand how body shame is taught and who benefits from it, and how radical self love is connected to dignity, justice, and liberation.
Snaps. And then
Yeah,
there's Lindsay and Lexi Kite, authors of More Than a Body. They offer another important shift. Your body is an instrument, not an ornament.
I love it.
I love that. Our bodies are not merely things to be observed. They're how we experience pleasure, connection, creativity, movement, work, rest, and love. And some of that's got to be self-directed.
I know. Because like nobody's going to do it for you.
No.
The body neutrality movement has also created room for something other than compulsory body love. We don't, we do not have to look in the mirror every morning and feel beautiful to treat ourselves with respect.
Yeah.
I obviously like tripped on that because I feel like, I wish you would. I wish we would. But you're right. We need to treat ourselves with respect even when we're not feeling great.
Right.
Like it would be really kind, right? So some days we may feel grateful for our bodies, other days, especially when it hurts, changes or becomes ill or limits us, gratitude may not be available. Respect is enough, attention is enough, refusing cruelty is enough.
Yeah, I mean, we're not suggesting women ignore physical symptoms or stop caring for their health or pretend that aging and physical change are always easy. We're also not saying that enjoying beauty or wanting to feel attractive is shallow. The invitation is to separate care from condemnation.
Mm, that's a good one. I don't know. Is this landing for you? Because like I know these are things we wanted to say, but like how are you feeling about that right now?
About what piece of
Separating
this?
care from condemnation. Does that, are you feeling access to the care?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm like, I'm looking at, I think because for me, more than anything right now, I am in pain, and so I want to take care of that. And I started with, oh, if I could just lose a few pounds, maybe I wouldn't be in pain. And I don't
Gotcha.
know that that's true, right? So I
I think
think
that
that
was true
might
in
have,
our 30s, but I don't know if it's true anymore.
well, I mean, there is, I guess, sort of, I've always heard the idea that for every pound, it's 3 pounds of pressure. But again,
Mm,
what I'm looking at, so I think now that I'm saying that out loud, that might be the thing that started to trigger all of this for me. Is it's like because we did this episode right before I got my hip replaced. Like when you are in pain, you are not firing on all cylinders. You're exhausted, you're in pain. And so I think that's part of this is it's like I'm doing sort of the thing you are doing to yourself where like, well, shouldn't I be doing more so that? And that's why I'm curious if I have the ability to get on once I talk to my doctor some hormone replacement theory therapy. Um, will that help? And will it help all of it? Because I do think that if I wasn't in as much pain, it hasn't kept me from doing anything. I still get up and work out every day. I guess it sometimes keeps me from going on a walk that I might want to do or something like that. But um, I think that like that could be the thing that the way I do one thing is the way I do everything. If I was not in pain anymore, and I just had such a small window after my hip replacement of not being in pain, and so I'm also pissed off that I'm in pain again, So
yeah,
I
for
guess
sure.
I
That's
also have a
emotional shit.
yeah, totally, totally. And so I think that's part of this. And maybe that's where I'm coming from this. Okay, I think I still have some options to not be in pain. And so I need to stop the pity party part of all of this. That's what I was saying to you earlier in the week or last week or whatever. I need to stop the pity party and just go, you know what? You're going to look into this. You're going to have this conversation, and be more focused on what I am doing versus what my brain is telling me I'm not doing enough of.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think what you're experiencing is 100% driven by physical pain. It is hard to
Yeah.
feel sexy and vibrant and positive when you're in pain. It just
Yeah.
is. Um, I think, like for me, you know, it I was I'm gonna criticize myself. Like it's like you've osteoporosis. You know what you can do about it. So it's like how the way the criticism I've always brought to that stuff is
Yeah.
this is like not optimal about you. On top of that, you're not doing the right things about it.
Right.
So for me, it's like, okay, if I care and I want to be here and I want to be strong, I can pay attention to pain, sleep, energy, and medical symptoms and do the best I can.
Right.
Really, I am on HRT. I don't always get a full night of sleep, either because I have an ancient dog or a kid with a seizure, or because I am 57 and sometimes we just wake up at 3. I like, I don't know. I think the question is like those choices arise from partnership with my body. I just want to experience like being best friends with myself in a way that's like, um, we don't have to rate how well you did today. We can just,
Mm.
like in general, if you're sticking to something that isn't like, just like with anything you say yes to, whether it's in line with your intentions or not, is either going to detract or support it. So I can be that like, oh, that kind of wasn't helpful for you to sit in that position all that time. That's bad for your
Right.
bones. Or, like how about tomorrow we get up? I don't know. I think I'd like to experience enjoying myself more.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was saying, I think I'm like, so often when we're having these conversations, especially around things like confidence or imposter syndrome, and you're always like, do you feel that? And I'm always like, really? And so it feels good to have a problem. Like I am, I think, I come
Does
across,
it? Oh, like, good for
well,
you.
I'm joking from a standpoint of like,
Yeah.
for the first time, I'm human, I guess is where I'm saying I
Yeah.
go with all this, is where I'm
No,
jokingly saying
totally.
that like, I, I can have all the confidence in the world, not suffer from imposter syndrome particularly, and I still have this internal criticism. Um, I was thinking
There,
about, I think you're on the same place. I was thinking about
yeah.
jumping down to our new agreement, but what were you going
Yes.
to say?
Yes. That's exactly it. You were on the same page.
As always. Yeah, so I think you were just saying what you want to be doing. And I've said the same thing, right? Like what I want to do is know that I've got some options. I'm looking into those. It's coming in a couple of weeks. You want to be a little bit more aware of uh piling on yourself, right? Is what I was
Hmm.
hearing. So I
Yeah.
guess for there's just the general invitation to ourselves and to you all is just simply notice that internal mental conversation you're having. Notice when the difference between observing something and evaluating it. When you criticism disguises itself as care. Notice when you feel compelled to comment on your own body, whether it's in your head or on another person's body, because there really is nothing to grade. There's no requirement to share every thought. This practice is simply to recognize the conversation that very likely has been running in the background this whole time.
That's a really good one. I think when I notice myself beginning to, I mean, evaluate my body. Yeah, whether I do that or I'm starting to criticize how I spent my time around that
Yeah.
stuff. I just want to like stop and say, this is what I do with clients. You do this too. Like, what am I
Yep.
noticing? Am I caring or evaluating?
Mm,
Does anything genuinely require my attention? And if not, where do I want to put my valuable attention instead? I got a bunch of better things to do.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I just want to reconnect with, I- you've said it a couple of times, but it's like it's better than the alternative. And radical self-acceptance on some level, but also knowing that I haven't run through all my options, basically is where I want to pay attention if I start to go down that path.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
So our song for the week, I feel like have we used this one before? I think it's funny because
I don't
Darren,
think we have.
okay, I do
If
love
we
this.
have, I totally forgot.
If we have, it's been literally, we might have referenced it season one. I did just get a Victoria's Secret gift card yesterday because I need to buy some new pajamas. So
Oh,
that was a gift card that I got. But there's a song by a woman named Jax called Victoria's Secret, and it captures so much about what we've been talking about. Many of the thoughts we experience as personal insecurities did not begin inside us. We were taught what to examine, what to compare, and what to believe was wrong.
yeah. Okay. I want to just share some of it because I love her. I love how she uses humor to expose something serious, right?
Yeah.
And she wrote it when she was nannying for a girl who was just being really ripped on by older girls for not having matured yet, for
Mm,
to go to some swim party or something, and it just went viral. I think, I mean, she's a legit songwriter, and
yeah.
I always think that you guys should know each other because she and her husband are both musical, and they named their daughter Charlotte Good because they love the band Good Charlotte.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know. I just think I love that. But I fell out of their algorithm. I don't see anything they do anymore. I should go look for them. But anyway, I love these words. God, I wish somebody would have told me when I was younger that all bodies aren't the same. Photoshop itty bitty models on magazine covers told me I was overweight. I stopped eating. What a bummer. Can't have carbs in a hot girl summer. If I could go back and tell myself when I was younger, I'd say, Psst, I know Victoria's Secret. And girl, you wouldn't believe she's an old man who lives in Ohio, making money off of girls like me, cashing in on body issues, selling skin and bones with big boobs. I know Victoria's Secret. She was made up by a dude.
I love it.
Dude!
Well, this song did resurface recently because that old
Who's
man
in
in
the Epstein
Ohio
files?
is in the Epstein files, all the fuck over the Epstein files. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it
Ugh.
did resurface about a year ago. Yeah, I do wish I had known that earlier. You're right. We had 17, we had Cosmo. But honestly, I think in the grand scheme, it probably comes down to what Mean Girl said, even more than those things, right? Like, I do think there was some sense of, but it's all a piece, right? Because we have these magazines or this internet or whatever it might be, and everybody's self-judging, and then it makes them feel better to judge somebody else. And so it's just this tornado of a shit show.
It's interesting because I just had this thought that just totally brings us into another topic, but it is like racism. It's learned, it's handed
Hmm.
down, and it's in everybody. If everybody could recognize it, we could probably change it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I maybe freedom's not reaching a point where we absolutely love how we look every minute. I don't even know if that's possible. I mean, I certainly know beautiful women who also have these same thoughts. So maybe it's just reaching a point where we know how we look no longer gets consumed every minute by ourselves, by others.
Yeah. Our bodies deserve attention. They just do. But they deserve like interest. Like, what are you
Mm,
saying? What do you need? Not like attention that's critical, right? So it's like they deserve curiosity, really. They deserve
mm,
care, pleasure, protection, movement, rest, and respect. Oh, that's a lot of things that take precedence over criticism.
yeah.
But they do not have to be our lifelong renovation projects. And I think just take good care of the body that carries your life and go live it, right? That's just such a beautiful, beautiful
Way to end.
reminder. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did.
We only
Be
have
done.
this one body. We only have this one body. And so how do you want to carry it through? And hopefully you have years and years and years still left in it. So do you want to spend those years bitching at yourself or do you want to spend them happy? That's
Mm.
and that was the question I was asking myself a couple of weeks ago. Do you really want to live your life in your head like this for the rest of your life? Because hopefully, worst case scenario, you got 20 years. Hopefully, you have many more than that, and
40.
that's
I want 40 more years.
well, thank you for listening to this conversation. Carrie, I'm glad we had this conversation. This has been on the Excel spreadsheet for a while and we have pushed it off, but I think we're at exactly the right time to be having it. And for all of our listeners, if this landed for you, we would love to hear comments. And we're always so appreciative that you listen. And we will be back next week with something else we know. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.